Howdy ho there, friends and neighbors. Bobby here today. Hey folks, today I'm going to show you how to put a water pump on a 2002 Jeep Liberty with a 3.7 liter V6 in it. We're also going to do a thermostat and thermostat housing as well. Here's the parts we'll be working with today. We got a brand new water pump here, not a reman. We got a brand new one. We have a thermostat housing. We have a thermostat. We're going to put a new Serp belt on it, and we've got 2 gallons of 50/50 pre-mixed universal coolant to go along with it as well. So let's get started. Okay guys, first thing we're going to do, we got a 15 millimeter box end wrench down here on our belt tensioner. We're going to move that in a clockwise motion, and that should release the tension on our belt. And we're going to go ahead and remove the serpentine belt. And this vehicle here has a nice little diagram right here on the radiator support. If you don't have that, you might want to take the time to write it down on a piece of paper if you don't have a belt diagram, so you won't forget. Okay guys, if you look at your water pump, it looks like there's 8 bolts that hold this thing in place. So let's move on over here to the car and let's check out what we got to do. Okay, now let's take a quick look down here. Looks like they all got 13 millimeter heads on them. Okay, now that one big stud sticking out right there is not really a bolt that we shouldn't have to take out. It's not actually connecting the water pump. One thing that is in the way is this little idler pulley down here. Looks like it takes a 15 millimeter socket or wrench to remove that pulley. We're going to have to take that off because there's 2 bolts behind there that you won't be able to get to unless you remove that pulley. So we're going to start with that. Okay folks, we've already got our little idler pulley removed. Like I said, it's just a 15 millimeter bolt. So we're going to lay it out of the way. We've got our 3/8 air ratchet here with a 13 millimeter socket. We're going to go ahead and start backing out these water pump bolts. Alright, here's our old water pump. We've got it removed. It didn't take too long. And as you can see, there is some coolant residue down here on the lower half of it where it's leaking out of the weep hole. Here's our surface of our block now. We're going to clean it up a little bit, and we'll be ready to install our new water pump. Okay, what I'm going to use here to clean off the surface of the block is a little 9-degree die grinder with a roll lock disc on it. And it's going to make it go a little bit quicker and easier. But if you don't have that, you can actually just use a little piece of sandpaper, say like a 120 grit or something, and you can clean off the surface and then wipe it up good with a rag and some brake clean. So let's get started here. Okay, with the surface nice and clean after I use the Ziz wheel to clean off any debris or whatever, we're going to take a little bit of brake cleaner here. And I just got some CRC brake clean. And we're going to douse this down real good and get all the antifreeze and everything off of it, and we'll wipe it down with a clean rag before we put our new water pump on. Now we're about ready to put our water pump on. First of all, we want to take our new gasket, okay, and it only goes on one way. As you'll notice, there's a little notch here for this side here to fit in. There's a little rounded notch down here. We'll go ahead and push this in place, and we will go ahead and put the water pump onto the vehicle and start bolting it down. One more thing we've done before installing this thing, we've taken all of our bolts and we've dabbed just a little bit of black RTV on the threads so that when they go into the block, in case they go into a water jacket, coolant cannot travel down the threads of the bolt and actually leak out the end. So now let's get this thing installed. Now with all 8 of the bolts installed by hand, we're going to take our air ratchet and we're going to snug this thing down evenly. Okay guys, water pump's installed. After I zipped it down with the air ratchet, I went around it with a regular hand ratchet. Went around it twice, just snugging down each bolt, and I got them all tightened down. So we're ready to move on to our next part of this little project, which is the thermostat housing. You can't see it too well down there, but that lower radiator hose goes right to the thermostat housing. We're going to take a screwdriver and pull that hose off. And it looks like it has 2 8 millimeter headed bolts. We're going to go ahead and zip that out and remove that housing, and we'll take a look at it. Now with our lower radiator hose removed, we're going to take our little 1/4 inch drive air ratchet here with a 8 millimeter socket on it. So I got it going the right way, I believe I do. And we're going to go ahead and just reach down here, and we should be able to get to both of these 8 millimeter headed bolts. I don't think you can see, but I'm going to go ahead and zip them out. Okay Guys, here's our old thermostat housing and old thermostat here. And it looks like it's definitely been in there a while. So we got some new parts here today. We've got a brand new housing we're going to install. And our thermostat come with the O-ring gasket already around it. So we're ready to put these things together and get this thermostat back together. I mentioned to you guys is go ahead and install your thermostat into the housing first, because if you'll notice there's a little notch right there where the end of my index finger is, and that notch has to fit into the housing itself. So go ahead and get this part installed in here and make sure it's in the correct position. This right here would be the correct position. I don't even know if you could put it in upside down or not, but we're ready to go back together now. Just wanted to mention that to you. Hey guys, wanted to mention right quick, I did take the Ziz wheel and clean the surface of the housing off down there before we bolt our thermostat back in place. I cleaned it with brake clean, and it's ready to go now. Okay folks, hey, we're about done here. We got our Serpentine belt back on. Don't forget to put that pulley back on, the one that I took off earlier. So we got it installed, got the belt on. We've got our no-spill coolant funnel there. We're getting ready to pour some coolant in this thing, and we're going to crank it up and let it run until it gets up to operating temperature to make sure that the thermostat opens and that the system is full of coolant. So we're going to do that, and then we'll wrap this video up. Alrighty folks, hey, we're wrapping this project up. We've already filled it up with coolant. We allowed it to run until it got up to operating temperature. We put the heat selector over on hot and the fan on high until we got some nice hot air coming out of the vents to make sure we had it circulated through our heater core. And we're going to go ahead and call this job complete now. I hope you enjoyed our little video today. Don't forget to subscribe, tell a friend about us. If you'd like to be a patron on Patreon, there will be a link below. So if you want to join up and be eligible for some giveaways and stuff like that, and some extra features and extra videos that I'll post just for my patrons. Thanks again guys for taking the time to watch our video today. Have a great day.